Hey everyone, it's Hoop. It's the Hatening again. I want to talk about porn today, pornography. So if that's something that you don't like, or like you want to hear about, or it's too graphic, or whatever the fuck, like maybe skip this episode. I don't know. I'm not going to go too long and get too into the nitty gritty of stuff, but you know, just whatever. That's what the episode is going to be about. But you know, like I was thinking about porn just because, like, there's like some stuff in the news recently about like celebrities like take on porn and like porn's like immersion into like modern society and like American society and like pop culture and stuff. And it got me thinking, like, it is very interesting how like pornography is like this thing that everyone knows way more about than most of us are willing to express, even to like our close friends. You know what I mean? Like, porn is something that legitimately everyone is aware of, right? Everyone is aware of the existence of pornography. You know, like media that depicts people having sex, you know, specific, like, you know, everyone knows that exists. And most people, I'm not going to say everyone, but like, I feel like a vast majority of people have interacted with that type of media in some form or fashion, right? We all have. For them, I would imagine everyone listening has watched porn for personal gratification or whatever. You know what I mean? And I find it very interesting because, one, like, everyone's taste in pornography is completely different, and everyone has their own tastes and likes and dislikes and stuff like that, right? And that's like a whole other conversation about like sexuality and sexual preferences, which is neither here nor there for what I kind of wanted to touch on. But specifically, like, I find it very interesting how, you know, like I said, like, everyone engages with pornography in some form or fashion. Everyone is aware of porn, especially because of the internet, right? But then it holds this place in society where it's still like shunned and like a dirty secret and something that we can't talk about, even though like they can, like, porn companies are some of the biggest like media companies in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we look at like lists of wealthy individuals and successful like entertainers, because I mean, that's what it is. It's adult entertainment. Like, it's work. It's adult entertainment. Like, some of the most like followed personalities on the internet, like, you know, some of the most like high grossing entertainers like in the country do pornography. You know, they are like, they do stuff related to porn. And it just kind of blows my mind how, like, on the one hand, it's something that's like so vile and hated and like shunned and like taboo and like people don't like it, but then it's also like very publicly like one of the most popular things that we have. You know what I'm saying? And like it just kind of like blows my mind. Like, I don't know, it doesn't blow my mind that people are like obsessed with sex and that people like sex, right? And it doesn't blow my mind that people masturbate, you know, and that people use these tools to, you know, get off with, you know what I mean? But it's so funny to me when like porn comes up or a porn star becomes like visible on like a social media thing or like in a movie or on a TV show. And it's like that like palpable silence where everyone sees this like porn personality, but no one wants to be the one who says that they recognize them. You know what I mean? Like, whenever like there's like news about something involving like a porn star or like, you know, like that kind of shit, like it's just always so funny, like watching everyone kind of like fidget because they know who that person is, but don't want to be the one at the office to be like, oh yeah, like this like person who's like one of the top 10 porn stars on Pornhub like did a thing. I know who they are, but like I can't say anything about it. You know? Like, it's just like, I don't know, I find it very, very interesting how like everyone engages with porn, but most people are like ashamed to admit it. And I don't know, I think that that's kind of silly. I mean, I wish that people were a little more open in general with like their sexuality and their sexual preferences, and it was like okay to be like, yeah, I watch porn, here's who I like that, here's the categories that I enjoy, you know, whatever. Obviously there's a time and place to talk about like sex and masturbation and stuff, you know, but on the other hand, like I totally understand that like there are people who do not like porn. You know, there are people who are like ethically opposed to the idea of pornography. There are people who think that it's like exploitative, like people who think that it's like predatory, people who think that it's like gross, who think that it's like immoral. I don't agree with that for the most part, but like whatever, do you, like that's neither here nor there. Like everybody has an opinion on porn, and it's very hard to change their mind, you know, when it comes to how they view pornography, right? And that's just how it is. Like, you're not going to convince someone who doesn't like porn to watch porn with you, in the same way that like it's going to be hard probably to convince someone who like is completely okay with porn to like never look at porn again, right? Obviously, that being said, like if you're in a relationship, you need to have boundaries and set those boundaries. And if those boundaries involve like the consumption of pornography, like that's something that you and your partner or whoever need to, you know, figure out and respect each other's shit with. But, you know, porn is something that like, I mean, I'm not going to get too personal into like my consumption habits, but it's like, I feel like people my age, our age, whatever, were like introduced to it in like middle school, maybe high school. And then it was kind of just like, with like the readiness of availability when it comes to like the internet and like shit on the internet, like for a while, like when computers were like kind of new in air quotes, like it was really easy to like look at porn and like hide porn on like the family computer because like no one knew how to search for it for the most part. And then when people got more computer literate, like that also happened at the same time that like porn was more acceptable and it wasn't that hard to find, you know, or like hard to acquire. Especially with like the like streaming boom that happened, so you didn't have to download shit anymore, and so it was just kind of like you could just like use it and then toss it away, as opposed to like making the commitment of like buying a magazine, buying a video, like downloading stuff, saving it on your computer. You could kind of just like access it, clear your web browsing history, and be on your way. You know what I mean? And that being said, like porn addiction is a thing. Porn addicts exist. Like people rely too much on porn. Like I don't think that that's like a controversial thing. Like there are people who watch too much porn. There are people who are too invested in porn. There are people who are like obsessed with porn stars, but like, and that's like fucked up and stupid. That is like an interesting relationship between like a porn star and their fans, right? Like I've never like gone to like a porn convention. I've never gone to like a strip club where there's like a porn star like doing a feature show. I never really wanted to. But also, like, I can't imagine how awkward that would be to be like, hey, what's up? I've masturbated to you for the past, like, 10 years. Like, it's nice to finally, you know, meet you in person. I feel like we know each other very well because I've seen you do a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know what people think they're going to get out of that interaction. Unless it is just, like, when you go to, like, Comic-Con and you're like, hey, what's up? You're my favorite Marvel hero. But in this case, you're like, hey, what's up? You're my favorite person I've ever seen stuff inside themselves. Like, that's really cool. Like, I don't really know how that conversation would go. And if that's something that, like, I know a lot of people who, like, go to the conventions and like to see the porn stars and stuff, like, that's cool. Like, do your thing. You know what I mean? But, like, I think the older I've gotten, the less I've engaged with porn. Just because I don't know, like it doesn't really interest me as much anymore. Like my relationship to like that stuff has changed. But also like I don't know, like I still know a lot of people who like are really into porn, and that's fine. Like do your thing, you know what I mean? Like do your thing for sure. But like I don't know, like it's just strange to me how mainstream porn is now. You know what I mean? Just like having like porn stars and like music videos and making cameos on stuff and just like being like internet personalities and stuff. It's very interesting because it's like on the one hand, everyone who knows who they are is like, tee hee hee, that's so-and-so, they do porn. But then it's like you're telling that to a million people who also watch their stuff and know who they are, right? And that being said, like, you know, people can be very creepy towards porn stars for sure, and it's like really gross to go online and like see the things that people say about people who do porn. And that's like, I mean, there's a lot of like gross, like seedy underbelly stuff involved with like adult entertainment, but like that's something that like I like, you know, when Twitter and Instagram got big and adult entertainers started to get on there, it's like, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine like theoretically giving like millions of people access to me, like if they really just view me as like a sexual object, like legitimately. Like most people online have it hard enough being viewed as just like a sexual object or an object of desire. but like someone whose job is like, look at me do sex and masturbate to me, that's the point. And then having those people like theoretically able to like give you reviews and like try to like, it's just fucking strange. Like that all that shit is like really weird to me, like where people can't like realize that sex work is work and they're like at their job and like leave them alone when they're not fucking working. You know what I mean? Another funny thing about porn that I don't know if that's really here or there, but I want to end on this is like, there's like the whole thing that people say about like strippers, and that's going to be like its own episode eventually, where it's like, oh, if I can't find a job, I'll just be a stripper because it's easy. It's not. Like, dancing is not easy at all. If you think that, you're dumb. But like, I hear people say that about porn too, now that like amateur porn is a whole thing. Like, you don't need to have like a large production crew to like make a porno anymore. Like, they used to be like actual films that were like distributed. Now it's like anyone can make illicit content and put it on a streaming site on either side of a paywall. And so I see and I hear people constantly talking about like having OnlyFans and like doing all these different like, you know, paywalled pornography services and stuff. And like, on the one hand, it's like, that's cool. Get your money however you can because times are tough. But then on the other hand, it's like, there is definitely like an artistry and a talent and like a market for adult entertainment. And yes, everyone is someone's type. I'm not arguing against that, but it's like kind of insulting and kind of just like naive and like ignorant for you to think that anyone can just like start filming and then become like a lucrative, like successful adult entertainer, because there's really a lot to it aside. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just something that I always found silly. And also like, I find it silly when people decide to get into amateur adult entertainment online, and then it doesn't work, and then they kind of like go into crisis mode because then they realize that like that stuff isn't going away, and now there's, you know, explicit content of them online forever, and someone might find it who they aren't comfortable with knowing, you know. So obviously if that's something that you're interested in and that's something that you want to do, you need to be aware that like it's not going anywhere on the internet, and that is who you are now. You know, it's going to be hard for you to hide your secret porn identity. But that's the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening. If you like The Hatening, please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to Andrew and I if you left us a good review and told your friends and all that stuff. You can find The Hatening on all social media platforms, and from there you can find the individual profiles for myself and super producer Andrew. Yeah, take care of yourself and the people around you, and don't forget to tell your friends you love them.